Welcome to the Be Empowered podcast with your host, Graeme Hopkins. My goal is to help you regain your power by bridging the gap between who you think you are right now and who you really are. In simple language, that is like making your childhood dreams come true. This is for those who want to make an impact in their lives but don't know how to get there. Be ensured, when you know and feel connected to your spiritual mind, you master your world.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Infinite Aviators. I'm here with Captain Graeme Hopkins, who is a captain of a Boeing 777 for Emirates Airlines. Graeme, welcome.
Thanks, Amir.
Thank you. Thanks. Great to have you on the show. So, Infinite Aviators, if you haven't watched before, is a show about giving you or sharing with you different aviation experiences, as well as interviewing some great aviator minds. We're here in Dubai, of all places. 40 degrees or so outside. I was just speaking to Graeme about how the planes take off in this temperature. What it really takes to be not just a good pilot, but to be a great pilot, and what we ultimately learn about ourselves, you know, on that journey. That's what really interests me. So, you okay with going there?
Sure.
Yeah, great. So why don't we just start with how you started flying and why?
Okay. So I was brought up on a farm in the western part of Victoria.
Yeah.
And back in those days, we used to have aerial sprayers come to the farm maybe once a year, land in the paddock.
Yeah.
And my elder brother was a budding aviator at that stage, so we told the pilots, and they said, jump on board, we'll take you for a fly.
Yeah.
So my first flights was kind of hanging out of this, it's called a bell hopper.
Yeah.
Which is just, you could see the ground from underneath, but just hanging there and hang on for dear life. And I think I was probably, 5, 6 at that stage. But I planted a seed, and then later on I got more involved in aviation when I got older.
Yeah. So now you're flying here in Dubai and flying with Emirates. They've got a lot of people who watch these episodes, and it's all about aviation, but it's also about who we become and who we need to become to be great aviators. And we were talking about how that also refers to life. Our attitude and power equals performance. So, we had a little conversation downstairs about that, and you've got some great little metaphors about how aviation, or the things that you've learned in aviation, in flying planes, how it also relates with our lives and who we become.
Totally. I was thinking about this before I came across here, Amir, and if I summed up a pilot in one word, most of them, if not all, are lateral thinkers. Okay, so I thought, well, what does that really mean? I've known this for a long time, but I actually looked it up in the dictionary just to see what it means.
Yeah.
And it's a bit like life. Most of us go through life with this tunnel vision.
Yeah.
And that's probably the worst thing you can do when you're flying. But lateral thinker, I wrote this definition down because I think you'll really relate to the definition and some of the synonyms.
Yeah.
And it says solving problems through an indirect and creative approach. And then the synonyms are unorthodox, inventive, creative, imaginative, original, innovative, and non-linear.
Right.
So I think, since you've started flying, you'll probably relate to those words pretty well.
Yeah.
So the example I was going to give to you was one of the most challenging flyings I've done was when I first went to Perth, because back in, let me see, it was around about 1980, Emirates Airlines bought MMA, which was based in Perth. And I was one of the first of the pilot groups to go over there and fly with them. And we used to fly the F-28 up in the Pilbara region without any control tower. So we'd go into Cratha. Sometimes you'd have like 10 aircraft all coming into Cratha at one time.
Yeah.
And that's where lateral thinking comes in, because you know you're doing 7 miles a minute in this speedy little sports jet.
Yeah.
And you've got all these people coming at you, and you've got to work out which is the most important now, and then deal with that.
Yeah.
Which is the most important one now?
Yeah.
Deal with that until you cross out all 10.
Yeah.
So this relates to life, because you know we've got to get out of that kind of box mentality and open our vision so that we see more laterally.
Yeah. What stood out as being your greatest challenge that has contributed into who you've become?
I think, you know, we were talking about this earlier. I think to come to the realisation that you're a manager of energy.
Yeah.
That's kind of, because what I've done is that I've translated what goes on top of a wing.
Yeah.
And I've realised that it's exactly the same with our own energy. So there's... I can give you an example of energy management or the lack of energy management.
Yeah.
So you'll relate to this. So we, back in the early 70s, we didn't have a aerobatics instructor at the school. So everybody's talking at the bar, you know, this is what you do. So anyhow, went out with a mate one time and he said, oh, let's have a go at a loop, you know. So just imagine you and I are in this Victor Air Tourer.
Yep.
Ever heard of those?
No.
It was a little aerobatic machine with a bubble over the top, not real big, probably similar to what you're doing aeros in.
Yep.
So anyhow, we really didn't know.
Yeah.
So
you went doing a loop without knowing how to do one? Oh wow. So not that I would recommend that, but okay.
So this is a good example of no energy management, right?
Right, yep.
So we knew we had to lower the nose, pick up some speed to get the airflow over the wing.
Yeah.
And then we started bringing it up.
Yep.
And we get there, Amir.
Yeah.
And he looks at me. And I look at him, and all this dust starts falling around in the cabin. And I look at the airspeed, and it's like, zip.
Yep. So you start pulling.
And we didn't know how. We didn't know.
Yeah.
Because once you get up there, as you know, everything's reversed.
Yeah.
So what did we do? We pushed the nose forward, didn't we?
Oh.
And of course, everything's reversed. So the nose goes. Of course, we just went into a stall and we kind of collapsed out of it.
Right.
So that's a good example of no energy management.
Yeah.
So what I've learned over the years is that really being a pilot, it's all about managing your energy.
Yeah.
In the aeroplane.
Yeah.
But it also helps if you learn to manage your energy within your own being.
Right.
Yeah. So just to discuss that a little bit further, say for instance, we took this aeroplane and as you know, all aeroplanes operate in the same way, sub level of the sound barrier,
Yeah.
So, say for instance, I took this aircraft, which we do in the simulator for practice every probably year, and started raising the nose more and more. So we're going from 2 or 3 degrees, and let's say we bring it up to 10 degrees. So now the airflow is having trouble getting over that wing.
Yeah.
So it's coming up and it's starting to spill at the back, produce drag, Now, if it keep going and you pull back on the stick and you get up to about 15, 16 degrees, now there's no energy on the wing. Now, here's an important point. What a lot of people do is they think life is all about the power. So they're pulling back on the stick, and yes, the lift is increasing initially, but the energy is decreasing.
It's a great analogy.
And then you get to this position where we call it the stall. Now, a lot of people think that if an aeroplane stalls, it's something to do with the engine. Nothing to do with the engine. This is all about energy. So if you get to there, this air can't get up over anymore,
Yeah.
all the lift is gone and the plane dives.
So what you're saying is that, you know, sometimes personally as pilots, but not just pilots, as human beings, you know, we push ourselves beyond our limit.
Exactly.
And we stall, we have a breakdown.
Totally.
Or we lose the love for what we, you know, have love for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, this is what I've learned over time, is that all emotional breakdowns are just a stall on energy.
Yeah.
Collapse, go down. Now the thing about a stall is that once the nose drops,
Yeah.
and you start picking up speed over the wing again, you start picking up lift,
Yeah.
and you will come to a point where you can recover. Yeah.
So would the nose drop be letting go of the tension? Or?
And what I've noticed is that most people these days, society is so stressed that most people are up here, you know, trying to even just survive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're up near the stall. It only takes one little thing and they're gone.
Yeah.
But if you can teach them how to lower that nose and start getting this energy flow going again in their whole being,
Yeah.
then it transforms their life.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So how would one lower the nose?
Well,
Besides letting go of tension, like what does that mean for people?
in how it plays out is, I believe it's awareness.
Yeah.
So the more aware we become of where we're at,
Yeah.
because a lot of this distorted energy, I call it, in our being, happens because we're under stress. So you've got to de-stress, and a lot of the de-stress comes when we become aware of what's going on. I mean, most people wouldn't even know that they're up near the stall. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, there can be plenty of times then.
Yeah. And so if you can make people aware that there's a higher truth than themselves, then it enables them to step back and become aware of just what's going on within their whole being.
So what you're saying is having a deeper connection with oneself. So
Totally.
it's your relationship with yourself that's going to diffuse stress and tension and
Absolutely.
So what makes someone a greater pilot or a happier pilot is someone who's obviously less stressed, less tension.
It doesn't matter whether you're a pilot or doing any other work, the same principles apply for everyone.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you, what's been your most memorable experience in aviation?
You're talking about visual experience, then seeing the Northern Lights was probably it.
Yeah. And what about your most? Has there been your most frightening experience? Was there been something that stood out, or has there been any scares?
Well, had an engine failure on takeoff. We hit a big bird at Derby one night.
What kind of plane?
That was on the F-28.
Right.
Basically went through the engine, just knocked all the blades out. There was nothing left.
Right.
Blades went through the cabin.
Wow.
It was pretty serious.
Yeah.
And this Boeing 777 is such a reliable aircraft, you know.
Yeah.
Of course, things do go wrong, but I haven't seen anything. I've been on the Boeing for 8 years now.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful, wonderful aircraft.
And finally, Graeme, I'm just wondering if you have any advice for viewers who are watching this who are looking to become airline pilots. I know personally a lot of guys who are watching this. There's people who love the joy of flying and just doing it for fun, but there is a lot of people in pursuit of becoming an airline pilot, and there's a lot of hours and a lot of commitment and a lot of work to be done to get to a point where you're at. And any advice for those guys?
Well, I often joke with Amir because he's kind of gone the journey of getting his mind right and then learning to fly. I went the other way. I kind of learnt to fly and then I came to the conclusion that was more to life than just flying an aeroplane.
Yeah.
I would personally get my mind right first, because if you do that, it just frees you up to pursue your true desire.
What do you reckon is the greatest fear that people have?
Well, fear is self-generated, so it's a false perception of who you are.
Yeah, brilliantly said. Very good. Well, Graeme, thank you very much for being on the show and sharing with us your wisdom, and hopefully we can, have you on the show again sometime.
Yeah. Well, can I just say in ending this is that I really love the energy that you bring to aviation. It's so refreshing.
Thank you.
To see somebody who is pursuing aviation with their full desire behind it.
We're enjoying it.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you very much, Captain. Have a safe flight tomorrow.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time.
Cheers.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to this edition of the Be Empowered Show. I just want to inform you that this will be the last edition on iTunes, either in audio or video, under this name. We are in the process of totally rebranding, so for any further information, please go to www.quantumbeingnow.com. I'd like to thank you for being a part of this show, and we wish you all the very best going forward. Thank you.